Now, I'm not trying to make Asian businesses in Australia look racist. In fact, I'm trying to do the opposite here by exposing them. I have a theory that Asian businesses in Australia only hire Asians due to racist policies of their own and they're breaking the law. So the only way to prove or disprove this is that I approach a business as a white person and then an Asian approaches the same business and I secretly record each interaction and we get the facts for ourselves. Now, to prove that I am not trying to make any Asian businesses look bad here, I'm going to give them more than ample opportunity to hire me over the Asian by simply dressing better than the Asian, having better hair than the Asian, and saying that I have far greater experience in whatever job there is. And the Asian that will go into the business after me will say that they have less experience, they'll be dressed almost like a homeless person, and they will seem a little bit dumb. So that the business has every opportunity to hire me over the Asian due to me being so much more experienced and competent within that particular job. Hello. Are you guys hiring by any chance? Because I'm a hairdresser, Australian hairdresser with 10 years experience. I actually won the best hairdresser as an apprentice. I got apprentice of the year as a second year, and I'm looking for a job and I'm willing to work for less.
But you wanna rent the chair?
No, are you? Oh, do you
because
rent?
We have more like Korean customers and Chinese customers. So.
But they, Korean and Thai.
No, no. Our staff are all Korean, and our customers majority is Korean and Chinese.
Okay.
So we prefer like more Asian hairdresser.
Oh, okay. I can speak.
The style quite different.
I can speak okay Mandarin. I lived in China as well. But if they speak English, because this is, I guess that you would still have a lot of English speakers in your country, in this area too, as customers. And my English is pretty good.
They don't know how to use kind of their palm machine, like a digital palm, the setting palm.
I would be willing to do free training. Like I would train on it for no cost to you, just so I understand how to work here. But you just prefer Asian hairdressers?
Yeah, we prefer.
Okay.
Yeah, we are looking for a hairdresser, but
yeah,
sorry.
Only Korean, or?
We prefer Korean because Chinese people like Korean hairdresser.
Okay.
I don't know.
I understand.
But, yeah, sorry for that.
I understand. It's okay.
Sorry.
My fault. Okay. See you later. Bye bye. Thank you. So what usually happens in this situation is you guys accuse me of being racist, even though I'm not being racist. I guess just being a white guy, by default, I'm always racist in a lot of people's minds out there. And from the very beginning, all I've wanted to do is be a part of your community within my country. Or your community in your country. I guess in the early days I tried to identify AMWF and get involved in that and realized that all I got was a lot of hate. As a white person, I can't really do anything right. Everything's always my fault. And I guess me being racially discriminated against here, a lot of you guys out there might still just call me racist by default, and it doesn't make any sense to me, but that's just my experience so far online. But all I'm doing is trying to get a job within an Asian company, and I don't see that there's anything wrong with that. So I took some notes here about what happened. I over-exaggerated my qualifications to the nth degree. I was apprentice of the year, I have 10 years experience. I'm willing to work for less. I'm willing to work for less than any other employee you have. I pitched myself as hard as I could. So she said that they were hiring, but they only hire, she said Korean or Chinese, and then she confirmed later on that she only hires Koreans. Offered for me to hire the chair. So it's okay for me to hire the chair and work in the salon, but it's not okay for them to hire me as an employee because they're obviously racist, right? Then she asked if I knew how to use this really simple machine. I had a look at it. It's just like some sort of curling machine. I might not have any experience in hairdressing, but I'm sure I could figure that out pretty easy. And I offered to do the training on that totally for free. So I pitched myself as the most qualified person they've ever met. I'm willing to train for free, and I'm willing to work for less than anyone else. The only reason that they don't want me is purely the color of my skin. And you only prefer Korean or Chinese. Well, I said, look, I speak Mandarin and I've lived in China. That's not true. I don't know how to do either of those things. But that just discounted the fact that most of their clients are Chinese. But it's not the fact that I understand the culture and I speak Mandarin. It's purely the fact that I am white. It's the color of my skin. Keep in mind, we're in an English-speaking country called Australia, with still English-speaking country, and they refuse to hire me based on the color of my skin within this country. So I think we've racism confirmed, right? And at the end, I said, it's my fault. My fault. And they're like, okay, bye. And I guess I was a little bit aggressive at that point, but then I was like, okay, thank you, bye. You know, I was a little bit, well, not aggressive, I would say I was a little bit disheartened by the pure racism being thrown in my face. If you're out there trying to accuse me of being racist just because I'm white, reverse the roles and imagine you're in a white or a black person or an Indian or a subcontinent person's salon as an Asian, and you're asking for a job and they say, no, we don't hire you. We only hire people from this race and this color. That is discrimination. That couldn't be more clear as a definition of discrimination, racism, as far as I'm concerned. I feel a little bit disgruntled. This was the first company or business that I approached. I know that most will reject me as well. So if I go to any Asian company in Australia, they will reject me as well. So now let's see what happens when an Asian approaches the same business with less qualifications than me, dressed poorly in comparison to me. Let's just see what happens then.
Yeah, are you guys hiring now? Are you guys hiring? I'm looking for a job.
You are looking for a job?
Yeah.
Do you have any resume?
I don't have my resume now. I can send it to you, like if you give me an email address. I have like a year experience working in the city as a hairdresser, and I just moved here recently, so I thought I'd get a job here. Yeah.
Can you wait just 5 minutes? So how long have you been to the hairdressing?
It's just slightly more than a year. Yeah, I'm still learning.
I'm busy at the moment.
Yeah.
Can you give me your name and your phone number?
Yep.
I will contact you.
Okay.
If you start work, when do you start?
Anytime. Yeah. Phone
You
number?
don't mind how many days, how many hours?
Nah. And I live here, around here, so it's pretty
Okay.
convenient.
I'll give you a call.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
See ya.
So let's recap. I was rejected. I portrayed myself as the best hairdresser the world has ever seen, yet I was rejected purely by the color of my skin. And then an Asian enters and says, hey, are you hiring? And they're instantly like, yeah, you're hired, of course, you're Asian. What's your name and number? Just write it down now. And then she says, I've only got 1 year's experience. It takes several years of experience to learn how to become a hairdresser. I think the apprenticeship's like 3 years. Yet the best hairdresser in the world, that's what I portrayed myself as. The world's best hairdresser is willing to work for less, yet you reject me because of the color of my skin. Yet an Asian walks in there and says, I've only been doing it about a year, I don't really know what I'm doing. They're like, you're hired. You're Asian. Of course we hire you. Pure racism. And I guess some of you guys might be thinking, oh, it's a girl. Well, some of the best hairdressers in the world are men, and you see men in salons all the time, Guy Tang is one who I would use as a good example, and the reason why I bring him up is I didn't quite know who Guy Tang was, but he's been subscribed to my channel from the very beginning. So Guy Tang, if you're there, leave a comment, let me know what you think about this video. Now, I guess most Australians are unaware of what's really going on within the borders of Australia, and there's this double standard going on where white Australians have to abide by these strict laws and strict rules. We have to be careful not to discriminate against anyone. We have to be careful what we say, what we do, etc. We've welcomed all of these immigrants in from overseas, from terrible countries. Even Korea isn't the best country to live in, and the standard of living in Australia is far superior to Korea in every way, and has been forever. And instead of actually treating us with the same respect in return, it seems like they're just bringing this racism down here. And this is only one example. I get what you're probably thinking, this is only one example, but I've been doing this a long time. I've been running these little experiments for 3 years by myself. I just decided to actually film one for once, and the evidence is there for you to see. If you guys can go out there and find a white Australian hairdresser that would actively say that to you, put it up, send it to me, and I'll put it on my channel as well. So if you can find an Australian hairdresser that would actively discriminate racially the way that I was discriminated against, please send it to me. You know, if you disagree with this video and you think that I'm out attacking some people, please go out and do it for yourself. Get the footage, send it to me, and I will put your video on my channel. That's my promise to you, because I'm all about being fair here. I think Australia should be a fair society. Let's be honest here, most Australians, even some of the biggest businessmen in Australia, they're stupid as hell. They're not very intelligent, they have no idea about what's really going on in Australia, and they're not able to look into the future of Australia. But the Asian companies come to Australia and they start actively using racist means like this to put their own people at the top of these companies and actively discriminating against everybody else. At that point, most of the businesswomen and businessmen and politicians in Australia will start to realize how bad it really is, but at the moment they're unaware of it. And I believe that this trickle up effect of racism is only going to get worse in Australia, and it will lead everywhere. I foresee the future to be a very nasty future of Australia. And if you're like this hairdresser and you think that actively being racist like that is actually going to help you or your society, in fact the reverse is true, because when the rest of the stupid Australians realize what's going on and they actually get affected financially, maybe civil war, maybe crime will increase, maybe murders will increase in Australia. If you don't have the even playing field that we have right now, where everyone can be hired and you're getting hired on your competency, and when you're actively discriminating against people by their race, at that point, that is when violence, crime, civil war can break out within this country. And if you think that by protecting your own kind while you've come here and creating these little enclaves and only hiring people of your own tribe or your own kind is a good thing for you, in fact it's not. But I actually foresee a lot of violent crime, civil war and destruction in Australia in the future, when a lot of the stupid Australians that are sitting up top in these big companies right now, when their income starts to be actively attacked by this type of racism that's coming into the country. Understand that when you come to Australia, even if you have a Korean background, you are now Australian, and you're seen as Australian from anywhere else in the world. Doesn't matter that you were born in Korea, you live here now, you are Australian. So start to respect Australia, look after Australia's best interest, and start to recognize that we all need to be fair the same way that you are being treated right now. Because when you start to disrupt our economy and the way that we do things here, you're only going to hurt yourself in the long run, because Koreans over there, if they were to take over this country, which is not going to happen anyway, but if something was to be disrupted here, you're going to suffer as well. So racism is not going to help you either. Now, I think I've made this video quite clear where I was going with this, and I hope this is a good message to all you people out there that are in Australia and you're from overseas and you're starting up businesses. Hire someone on their competency, not on the color of their skin, please. discrimination is only going to backfire on you in the long run. It's going to destroy our economy, and then we're going to have more violent crime, and the safe streets that you live in right now, they will become very, very dangerous due to racism. So don't start creating this in the little Asian enclaves and thinking that you're going to get away with it. Things are going to get really nasty if this stuff starts to expand within Australia. Now, I did this poll on YouTube to see if any of you guys were getting notified when I upload a video, and a majority of you guys were saying that you weren't. So can you guys do me a favor and just click that bell icon next to the subscribe button, so that every time I upload a video you have a greater chance of being notified when I upload a video from now on, because I've noticed a massive drop in my views because YouTube is not actually letting people know when I upload a video. So that is a major factor, and there's the poll for you guys to see as evidence. So I think I've said enough, right? I'll see you guys very soon.